Okay, our first lesson is going to be on line. We're going to start with line because it should be the most familiar to everyone. Anytime you make some sort of doodle, you're probably using line. So it's the most familiar element in visual art when you're starting out. So the elements are line, shape, form, texture, space, value, and color. We're not going to cover color in this class, but we will talk about everything else. We'll talk about line, shape, form, texture, space, and value over the next several weeks. So you have a handout online, and I'm just going to highlight some of the things from that handout in this recorded lecture here, but I do want you to study it more closely. So make sure you read through that handout to get some more detailed information. So we're going to start by how do we define a line. So I would guess that most of you probably define a line as a connection between 2 points, number 3 on this list. But if we can think about it a little more loosely, so you can think about a line as a point in motion. Your eyes kind of put those points together into a line. A series of adjacent points, so something's more stagnant, doesn't move. Like you said, a connection between 2 points, or an implied connection between 2 points. And we'll talk about implied lines more as we go on here today. So to get started with line, we're gonna just cover some basic language. None of this should be new to you guys. It's very basic, but just so we have the same sort of terms that we're using, make sure that everyone's on the same page. So left to right here, we're going to talk about line directions. So we have diagonal, horizontal, vertical, and curvilinear or organic shaped lines. You can use those interchangeably. In the top area here, we have line variations. So you can think about thick and thin, the angles of lines, curvy lines, jagged lines, and then we're also going to think about the emotional content of line. So starting with the diagonal lines tend to be very energetic. If you think about how diagonal lines are used in like movies or animation, it's sort of maybe like set up with like some scene that's disorienting. So we can think about diagonal lines being energetic, disorienting, aggressive. For horizontal lines, we can think about them being calming. Think of like oceans or landscapes. Vertical lines tend to be more energetic as well. I can think about cityscapes, right? A lot going on. And then curvilinear or organic shaped lines are more fluid and free-flowing, so they don't really follow the other rules. They can be calming or they can be energetic. They're a little more open-ended. And then I do want to touch on lines here. You can see that they're not all one connected line. So I guess I'm not able to use my cursor here as I record, but on the horizontal lines and on all the examples, you can see that some of them are a series of points, right? Little dashed lines or even little dots. But essentially those make up a horizontal line because of the overall shape of the line. And then also the zigzaggy, jagged, horizontal lines there, they're still overall going in a horizontal direction. And then the same thing for the diagonal and the vertical lines.